Imagine paying $330,000 for a single burger. That was the real price tag of the very first lab-grown patty produced in 2013. It sounds like a punchline to a bad joke, but it represents the terrifying economic reality of a technology that venture capitalists promised would save the planet. We are literally burning energy bills that rival a small city to produce a protein texture that, honestly, still feels wrong in your mouth. So why, despite the impossible math, the biological nightmares, and the sheer cost, are we still being told that the only ethical future is a steak grown in a steel tank? Welcome to the Hidden Why, where your curiosity finds its answers. What happens when we bet our entire agricultural future on a mirage? Look, I get it. I wanted to believe the hype too. Picture the marketing video, a pristine, white laboratory. Scientists in crisp coats, looking at microscopes. No mud, no blood, no slaughterhouses. Just clean, ethical meat appearing out of thin air like magic. It's a beautiful story. It comforts us. It tells us we can keep eating our burgers without the guilt of killing an animal or the fear of climate change. It promises that we can engineer our way out of a moral crisis without changing a single thing about how we live. But here is the uncomfortable truth that gets buried in the fine print of those investment pitch decks. Your lunch plate in 10 years is going to look exactly the same as it does today. And the reason isn't just about money. It's about biology. To understand why this dream is collapsing, we have to look at what they actually promised us. A decade ago, we were told that by 2025, which is now lab-grown meat, would be on supermarket shelves next to the chicken and beef. They said the price would crash down as production scaled up. They called it cellular agriculture. The idea was to detach food production from nature. But notice what happened. You walk into your grocery store today. Do you see it? No. You see plant-based burgers. Sure. But actual cultivated meat? It's nowhere. Actually, that's not entirely true. You might find it as a novelty item in a high-end restaurant in Singapore, or maybe a test kitchen in California, selling for a loss just to keep the PR machine running. Why? Because the Silicon Valley model doesn't work on biology. In software, you write code once, and you can copy it 1 billion times for free. That's how Facebook or Google scaled. But cells aren't code. Cells are physical, living, messy things. They don't follow Moore's law. You can't just download more muscle tissue. You have to grow it. And nature, as it turns out, is a much better engineer than we are. Let's dig into the how for a second. This is where the story shifts from optimistic to impossible. Think about a cow. I know, it's not a high-tech image. But a cow is a biological miracle. It has an immune system. It has a digestive system. It wanders around, eats grass, which is basically free solar energy stored in plants, and converts it into dense protein. It does this automatically, regulating its own temperature, fighting off its own infections. Now, try to replicate that inside a building. To grow meat in a lab, you need a bioreactor. Think of it as a giant, stainless steel stomach. But this metal stomach is stupid. It has no immune system. This is the part nobody talks about, sterility. In a cow, if a few bacteria get in, the white blood cells kill them. In a nutrient-rich vat of meat slurry, one single speck of bacteria, one virus particle doesn't just ruin the steak, it ruins the entire batch. It turns the whole tank into a toxic sludge. So, to prevent that, these facilities have to be cleaner than a hospital operating room. They have to be pharma-grade. Do you know how expensive it is to build a factory that is cleaner than a hospital? You aren't building a food processing plant. You are building a pharmaceutical factory. And you're trying to sell the product for the price of a chicken McNugget. The math just destroys the dream. You need to pump in expensive amino acids, sugars, and hormones to make the cells grow. You need to heat the tanks. You need to cool the tanks. Some studies suggest that the energy footprint of keeping these labs running 24/7 is actually higher than raising chickens or pigs. We are replacing a natural process powered by the sun with an industrial process powered by the electric grid. It's like trying to build a Ferrari just to drive to the grocery store. Technically, yes, you can do it. But as a way to feed the world, it's insanity. But let's play devil's advocate. Let's assume unlimited free energy. Let's assume we solve the sterility problem. We still run into the barrier of experience. Have you ever heard of the Uncanny Valley? Usually, we use it for robots. When a robot looks 90% human, it doesn't look cute. It looks terrifying. It looks like a corpse walking. Well, your mouth has an uncanny valley too. Evolution has trained your tongue for millions of years to recognize real food. Real meat has texture. It has muscle fibers running in specific directions. It has fat marbled in chaotic patterns. It has connective tissue that gives it that specific snap when you bite into it. Lab-grown meat, by default, is mush. It's a paste of cells. To make it look like a steak, they have to put it on a scaffold. They have to mechanically stretch it. They have to 3D print it. And early taste tests describe it as dry, metallic, or just boring. Imagine sitting down for a romantic dinner. The candles are lit. You cut into the steak, but there is no resistance. It's too soft. The flavor hits you, but it vanishes instantly because there is no complex fat structure to hold it. Your brain sends a signal, warning. This isn't food. We don't just eat for calories. We eat for culture. We eat for comfort. Can you imagine a Thanksgiving dinner where the turkey was printed on a machine 3 hours ago? There is a deep psychological rejection that happens when we separate food from its origin. We want farm to table. Lab-grown meat is factory to table. It's the ultimate processed food, in an era where everyone is trying to eat less processed food. And this brings us to the boring, unsexy reality of the supply chain. I want you to think about your local diner, or the school cafeteria, or the taco truck on the corner. These businesses operate on margins that are razor thin. If the price of beef goes up by 50 cents, they panic. Do we really think they are going to overhaul their entire kitchen to handle a fragile, high-tech product? The logistics are a nightmare. Cultivated meat currently has a shelf life that is questionable. It doesn't age like beef. It degrades. Will we need new refrigerated trucks? New safety protocols? Who pays for that infrastructure? The startups say economies of scale will fix it. But we've been waiting 10 years for that scale. Instead, we are seeing headlines about these companies laying off staff, shutting down plants, and pivoting to hybrid products, which is just a fancy way of saying they are mixing a tiny bit of lab meat with a lot of plant protein to hide the cost. It's a bait and switch. They sold us a Star Trek future. They are delivering a slightly more expensive veggie burger. So, what does this all mean for us? I'm not saying that technology is useless. Maybe, in 50 years, on a spaceship to Mars, this will be how we survive. But right now, here on Earth, it's a distraction. And that's the real tragedy. While we pour billions of dollars into high-tech fantasies, we are ignoring the boring solutions that actually work. Things like regenerative agriculture, rotational grazing, improving soil health, eating locally, eating less meat, but better meat. We are so obsessed with finding a hack, a magic button we can press to solve climate change without any sacrifice, that we forget how nature works. We treat nature like software code that can be rewritten. But nature is the hardware. You can't cheat the hardware. The next time you see a headline about the end of meat, or a shiny video of a lab that looks like a spaceship, be skeptical. Ask yourself, is this a meal? Or is it just a very expensive stock portfolio? Because usually, the answer to our problems isn't found in a stainless steel tank. It's found in the dirt, the sun, and the systems we've been trying to escape.
Every question hides a reason. Every answer reveals a story. If this one made you see the world a little differently, give it a like. And if you want to keep uncovering the hidden why behind our world, hit subscribe and stay curious.